Hey guys, how's it going today? In this tutorial, I just wanted to kind of quickly talk about why it's important to, in my opinion, import your own models and start building up your own 3D model library. One of the selling points of Lumion is that it has a built-in 3D model library, but I find the biggest drawback of that is you don't have a lot of customization tools. I know that on some of the couches that you can you can bring into your scenes with the Lumion library. You can kind of, you can change it from red to blue, maybe like yellow, but you don't have much control over the finer details. Like if you wanted to change, wooden legs to metal, or you wanted to change three of the pillows to a certain texture and leave one of the other ones the same. You can't do any of that stuff. But you can do it if you have a correctly set up 3D model that you import. So if you're unsure kind of how to make a lot of these own models yourself, then Turbosquid is a great place to kind of start to look. I've gone through and just sort of looked at a lot of the free models and found the ones that I think personally are probably some of my favorite for setting a scene. The link is going to be below the video. You can download whatever you want. You do just need to make a Turbosquid account if you don't already have one. So yeah, if you're looking for it though, you can come in here. You just hit free, and then just kind of browse anything with a little free symbol here. And then once you do that, you download it. You get to this folder here, and then you can just find the zip file that kind of matches with whatever style you want. Typically, I would recommend importing FBX into Lumion. OBJ works as well, and I think Collada does it too. But when you do OBJ, for whatever reason, the model comes in like 100 times bigger than it should. So while it's not really that big of a deal, it is kind of annoying to have to scale it down. And once you bring a model into Lumion once, it will save that model into the particular library that you want, which I'll kind of show in a second. But if you open up one version of Lumion or a file, you make the changes to the textures that you want to see on like a couch or a table or something. When you go and import that model into another file, all those textures should still be there. So when you download something, you set it up, and then it's pretty much good to go whenever, and you can just keep changing the materials. So I went into the Lumion, one of the example files. I believe it's just called it's like the interior scene. So these two chairs, this table, or these two tables, and the lamp with the pictures, I imported all of those, and those are all models that can be found below the video. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to import the rug quickly, and just put my own custom map on it. So let's just name this whatever. Typically you can set it up, if you want to be very organized with it, you can set it up with categories like, bedroom, bathroom, living room, anything. I just kind of dump it in the main because typically I don't keep them too long. Like I like to keep them saved in a folder on my computer, but I delete them out of the Lumion folder after a while. That's just kind of my habit. So we'll bring this in. I think we have to adjust this one a little bit. Yeah, so we'll drop that on the floor, but then we just have to raise it up a little bit. Sometimes the pivot points on these aren't perfect, but it's typically not too bad. So yeah, we'll just raise it up here. What I really like about this rug is it has those ruffles. If I just kind of show you the Lumion rugs in comparison, you really don't have that many options, and they look like they're just like these. I'm not really sure how to even describe them. They just there's no I guess like fur on them. There's nothing really special about them. They kind of look, I don't know. It really just looks like there's kind of like a box with some bevels and a color map on it. You don't even have the ability to kind of add fur to it using the Lumion stuff. So with this one, what I do is I just come in, fur, warm white fur. Then I typically turn this stuff down just because I find that when the fur gets too long, it has this weird kind of lighting effect. So turn this up. This isn't too important, but I just went online and found this random pattern. You can drop whatever you want, but you just turn this coloration down, and then your rug will have that. And so you can, with this rug, it just allows you to have that flexibility. If you want to scale it up, change the textures, all that stuff. I just find it's a lot easier to kind of do, and looks a lot better. The last thing I just wanted to show is just when I import the sofa. So if I go and search sofa in here, this is one that I was kind of looking at as an example. So this has quite a bit of red on it. It's it's kind of an interesting design, should we say? So I mean, if I could, I'd probably go in and change some of the corners here to like black leather or something like that, and change the pillows to white so it's not so overbearing. But this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, where it has, you really only have a color slider, which it doesn't matter what color you make it, it doesn't look that realistic. Like even with white, it's just not it's not the best. So one of my favorite models from the free collection is actually this couch. So we'll go to sofa collection, and I'll just name this like sofa collection 10 or something random. Give this a second. So we'll just drop this in and rotate it where we want it to go. And just get this. Actually, I think that's pretty good. Just drag this out a little bit. So this couch in particular has it has quite a few different color IDs, so that you can see like there's just different areas that are getting lit up. I really like that because you just have so much control. Like if I go put like this one's poly fabric wool 01. I'll make this one the suede material, poly fabric suede patchy. Scale that down a little bit. You can then copy this to say like that one, and then we'll click that, make another material for it, and we will go to poly fabric canvas. So just like that, we have all the ability to kind of change the pillows we want. Maybe a client will get back to you, or if you're just doing a render by yourself and you say, I want the couch to be all one solid color, you have the ability to do that. Or if you once you render it, you say, I think this needs to be, a white couch. It's very easy to do. You don't have to take it to an external program, do any of that stuff, which I find is really nice. So I will just change the legs here to like something like that. And then I'll just change this around too, just as a more of an example. So, I think we need to scale that up. Yeah, so about there. We'll copy this. We'll paste it into these sections. And then just like that, you can start moving stuff around. So maybe I'll just change that too, just for... Yeah. And so just like that, you have far more control. This is kind of another good example just for the couch that I wanted to show. It's I think that this was a SketchUp couch that they used, but it's like in this example, you can't change the material, you can't even move it. That's why I just think that it was kind of imported with the model itself. But especially where you're doing kind of interior scenes where they can be very touchy and you want to get everything just perfect with the lighting, I want to have basically complete control over the textures, even the relief maps, things like that, just because maybe the couch is sitting right in the sunlight and you can make it have you can make the threads really pop, and it's just like some visual interest. So play around with these. You can use whatever materials you want. I even encourage you to go on Turbosquid and just find more models to kind of use. Typically you don't need to worry too much about the textures that get downloaded from Turbosquid, unless you are actually getting, in this case, like pictures. If I go back to Turbosquid, I may have to find this quickly, but I figured I should just show you guys kind of how you would download the textures, because it's sometimes they don't get included in it. So if you want to download the actual model, then you would go and click on tor.fbx. I'd say like 98% of the models on Turbosquid are made in 3ds Max, so they're almost always going to come with a 3ds Max format attached to them, but they typically come with FBX, so you don't have to worry about that if you don't have access to 3ds Max. Just so you just download this. So that is your your model, and then you'd have to download the maps. And I get this. It downloads whenever it says that, but I just have to go in and open the archives. So if and then yeah, it should just look like something like this. I don't use these two materials. Typically, when I use these pictures, I'll just use the pictures themselves, just because I think that it's just a really nice kind of modern scene to it. But there's so many things on here that you can get for free that I think are probably worth honestly like $15 or $20. So yeah, play around with it, and that'll probably be the end of the video. I'll just render something out quickly. I'd love to hear kind of your comments on this. I know that this is probably a pretty pretty basic tutorial, kind of baby stuff, but I do think that a lot of people, they get frustrated with Lumion, because I know that I've gotten frustrated with it in the past, because you try so hard to make the Lumion model library look great, and you want to make these great renders, but it can be really hard sometimes, especially if you want to do like a close-up scene. I would say that sometimes it's even difficult to do that with the polygon materials. Typically, I download all of my materials from Polygon. Most of my models come from Polygon. I use Substance a lot as well, just because I'll probably get into it in another video. But Substance just lets you have complete control over what you want. You can export the maps that you want. So yeah, hopefully I helped some people out. I know that for most people this is probably kind of beginner stuff, but we'll get a little more complex in some future tutorials. I just figured that I should try and get some of the basics out there, just because there's not too many videos that I think I've found that people kind of go in talking about, I guess, why it's important to build your own library. So yeah, anyways, thanks a lot, guys, and I will see you in the next video.